Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Your Shop. We're excited today to have my guildmate and good friend Dana with us today. There we go, there's his player card. And so we're excited to feature his shop. He is a super endgame pay to play player who plays probably a similar or more time than I do, and we see a lot of things eye to eye. So today's episode may be a little bit different than usual because I may not have any advice for him at all, but we'll see how it goes. So we're excited. It should be good. So you should be able to hear Dana now.
Hello, everybody. My name's Dana. You're probably watching this after the stream, so I'm sure you've heard or seen me before. Um, yeah, I'm an endgame player. We've actually been in this guild now for like a year together, and kind of fun. I don't know. I love this game, and it's exciting to play, and also a little bit more exciting to be able to spend some money in the game and get certain advantages that players that are free to play. But I respect Rob and the way he plays because I know there's a lot of people that don't have the luxury to put money into the game or just don't want to generally.
Yeah, it'll be good to see the other side of the coin for sure. So why don't you show us around kind of just your shop, things that you do, and we'll go from there.
I have just like you, I have max 78 racks. I don't currently have them out obviously because I have the 6400 energy. Um, I generally only pull out my bins right now because I craft stuff for guildmates. I've been helping guildmates work up on their heroes. Usually I'm not crafting. I usually just buy from the market. I buy enchantments. I buy everything from the market and I just sell it that way. And by doing that, every time you sell something, you generally make anywhere from 100 to up to 300-400k a piece. I currently have nothing upgrading because I literally have max everything in my place. So I have all 5 ether bins and I have all 5 max. I have all 5 of these bin jewels. Every single thing you can purchase in this game I have bought. As far as the game goes, there's nothing I can upgrade unless I want to upgrade more racks past the 78 max, which at this point I'm just saving.
So if you say that you pretty much have everything unlocked and everything maxed right now for upgrades, do you have goals in game right now? Like I know recently one of the things that we've been working on or you've been working on is kind of hooking up guildmates with any requests that they have and helping them to equip their heroes well. Is there anything else that you would say is like an in-game goal right now?
That goal you just spoke of was a thing of mine because if you look at my heroes, I have all 25 slots of heroes. I have only ninjas, dancers, and samurais, and all of them have either um, legendary or epic of the best in slot for them, and most of them have pretty much the best of the best skills, or at least really good skill for them. I have no reason to craft other than to help guildmates. For a while, honestly, that was really my only goal because our goal in game, like for our guild, was 800 million per tower, and now it went up to 2 billion, and I have over 3 billion in every tower. But I guess if I had to really say a goal, my ultimate goal, I would assume would be everybody's goal is in every tower, including I think 3 of them, you need 1,235 ticks. Max that out as one single person. If you add the 20 people together of 1,235 ticks, that's what you need to max a building out. So that's my ultimate goal. So like in the temple personally, I have the 1,235 ticks,
Yeah.
which is 18 billion in this. So this tower, until it ever gets raised higher than level 20, I'll never have to invest in that again.
Yeah.
I guess that's my ultimate goal.
And I guess the other main goal would be ascending every item, which is like as end game as it gets.
Yeah, so I have 963 ascensions, and I actually, after opening a bunch of chests, I now have 1,100 ascension shards. So I thought about going through and doing and ascending a bunch more items because I pretty much have any item that I craft. I pretty much have ascended. Like any new item, like when a new pack comes out, um, the 2 items that come out on the first day and then the one that comes out the third day, I ascend it right away.
So what would you say is like your bottleneck in game right now? Like anything that slows you down? Like I think there's really only three main bottlenecks in the game, which is customers, um, resource regen, and like ascension shards or chest opens. I mean, once you have everything unlocked in the game, those are kind of like the three main ones. So, what would you say for you in game right now is like your biggest bottleneck?
Honestly, I mean, you're an end game player as well, so literally what you just said, customer flow. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
really the biggest thing
Yeah.
because if I can sit here and just keep flipping buttons and constantly making millions, I
Yeah.
mean, it would be endless. For me personally, because I buy gems and I buy chests and stuff, I don't have, I guess, as big of an issue with the ascension shards as much as like a free to play player
Yeah.
because
For sure.
you're limited obviously to basically facing bosses and quests
Yeah.
to how many keys you can get. You
Yeah.
almost never get a key in a quest just randomly.
Yeah.
Where obviously having Royal Merchant, I definitely get way more keys than you.
Mm-hmm. For
And
sure.
I buy chests, so like there's a lot more advantage for me in that. One thing I recommend as a pay to play player is Royal Merchant. If you're going to spend money on this game, don't go out and buy $100 pack for gems. Don't go buy, this one cool pack for a new blueprint. Buy Royal Merchant. That is the biggest and most important thing in this game. That alone could make you millions upon millions of
Yeah.
gold each month in this game.
Is there anything recently in game that you feel like you've really optimized or like found out about that's changed how you play?
I mean, the only thing I would say to that, but it's not something I new to learn. If I would, I guess it'd be more of a teaching video. I would say the
Mm.
same things that you've said in all your videos. Like, what right now, it's annoying me like that my resources are maxed right now. Like,
Yeah.
I need to like do this
Mm-hmm.
because that's like frustrating me. And
Yeah.
watching some people in your video and they don't do this kills me.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Do you think if like lifestyle wise or like playing time wise it looked different for you? Would your bin to rack ratio look a lot different? And what do you think that would look like?
I think at the level I'm at now, no matter if I got to play 15 hours a day or if I got to only be able to play two, I don't think anything would really look different. I would probably play the same way as far as probably no bins, or if I do have stuff
Mm.
out, it's like one bin. So for me, when I first started, basically, I had three of the tier one bins, two of the tier two, and then I would have 2 to 3 of the tier three resources. And I lived by that method for the longest time. If your resources are collecting, if you're able to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in a row, there's no reason to have more than 1 or 2 bins of something out. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you need to craft your item, because I know everyone's level is different.
Yeah.
Um, like for instance, me crafting these, I don't need more than one bin. This only needs 159 of the tier one, so I shouldn't have more than one because I can hold 220 in mine.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to ever get higher. And if I need to, I use my energy and I just speed it up like that, and bam, and then I can just start the next item. Biggest thing I found in my gameplay is never have more than what you need in your shop as far as resource bins.
Yeah.
I know in the beginning, I mean, there's people I know that still use 5 of like tier one or 4 of tier two or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
just a waste. Energy is everything in this game, and you will
Yeah.
learn that as you play. Energy is everything.
Yeah. And I had the same thought at the beginning. I'm like, okay, why do I have so many out? This doesn't seem like the best use. But then again, I didn't have close to max energy and even enough. Let's say I was only able to log in for 30 seconds once an hour or something and just do something and then go back to whatever I needed to do. Then I could craft 12 items right away, which the only way to do that, craft 12 items immediately, was to have my bins essentially at max and have 3 of them out. But then when you're playing actively, there's no point in having that because then the top, 70% of your resource pool is completely wasted, right?
I think most guilds right now have been around for a decent amount of time and they understand the perks to an extent. So a lot of people have maybe not 50%, but even if you have like 20 or 30% on this, that right there helps your guild out and you can limit how many resource bins you have in there just from having,
Mm-hmm.
20 or 30% more resource boost going at all times.
So I know that your inventory right now is really messy because we just opened 700 chests, and if you haven't checked that out, go check it out. I'll link it here. But I know that things are really messy for you in terms of inventory. So it's not going to look, normal by any means. But when you are just running your shop normally through your playtime, do you kind of have a rule of like what you're discounting, what you're surcharging, what you're selling normally?
This actually might amaze you, but I really don't care as far like not that I don't care. I don't pay attention like you do. Like you have it down to the math of what a T5 or a T6 does for a discount, like so you can one tap this or one tap that.
Yeah.
I don't. As far as surcharging and discounting and all that goes, I pretty much always surcharge tier 8s. Most of the time they don't have enchants on there. I just surcharge them anyhow. Tier 9s, I obviously always try to enchant them and surcharge them. As far as tier 7s and under, those are basically my fodder. There will become times where I do surcharge tier 7s depending, but I don't have like any sort of rhythm or way of going. The only thing that I do personally, I have items back here in this that I prep for the king to buy. What I always make sure I do is after like going on a quest run or something like that, if you get like a small tier 1 or 2 or 3 like superior or flawless item, I always make sure I throw it on my rack like this. So you see I got a bunch of crap here
Yeah.
right now, and I try to always discount those and get rid of those.
Yeah.
That way the king only buys my good stuff.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing that I do in my shop as far as like selling that like
Okay.
I make sure I do.
But one of the biggest things that I find with newer players that drives me crazy is that they're small talking with like half energy. And then if it fails, they're like down to a quarter energy and they get another fail. And all of a sudden they just wasted like 2 or 3 surcharges that they could have done. And so that was like mainly why I was asking, was because like at certain points here, I see you have like 2,000 energy or something like that. And
Yeah,
I'm wondering
no,
like,
I
is
don't pay
that,
attention to that.
oh really?
Yeah, I'm not as big on that as you
Yeah.
are as
Okay.
far
So
as
that's been like a huge thing that I've focused on, but I guess for you, it's just not as big of a focus.
yeah. I try to pay a little more attention just from honestly watching your videos too. That's where I definitely take hits as to how much energy or gold or whatever I could make is I don't do that properly.
Oh, okay.
So
I
don't pay
got you.
attention to me, ladies and gentlemen. Follow Rob on that.
Okay.
I used to buy these like all the time. Like for me, the only ones I ever care about is the jewel like this or the ether.
Yeah, me
I
too.
won't buy that until I'm really low.
Hmm.
There's no point in me buying this and going over the max and not getting as much profit out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
At least that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I do the same
Oh,
thing too. But that was like when I was crafting all 4 of my resources all of the time, because the only thing I would ever run out of was tier 3 resources. So me being able to buy those either with the guild coins or when people came in, like that girl, she's does it for 300k or whatever the price is, but me having an extra 80 of the tier 3 resources could allow me to craft like an extra 20 items or something quickly because I have,
exactly.
yeah, because she comes in. So for me too, that was the same. I would pretty much only buy the tier 3 resources. And I was trying to do that same calculation before too. Like, okay, if this costs me 20 gems, but I'm able to craft an extra 20 items, am I making enough money to like compensate for the gems that I'm spending on it? But pretty much every time that I tried to make that calculation, it just wasn't worth the gems that I would have had to spend for it.
Like if I run low on tier 3 resources, do you gem it like to get your resources back or do
I
you just
don't.
wait it out?
Yeah, I never do. But
See,
that's
now
just because it's
that's the thing where I
inefficient.
do.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference too, a lot of the time between paid and free, is that I have to calculate everything or I could be like missing out on a lot. Whereas, I mean, if you've got 50k gems or whatever it is, it's not quite as big of a deal for you if you spend 20 gems here and there to like be able to craft, because honestly in the end, if you're able to craft an extra 15 or 20 items because you have the tier 3 resources to do it and it costs you 20 gems, you might be breaking even or losing like a tiny bit. But if you craft, let's say, a legendary or something good out of it, then it totally pays for itself, right? So I don't think it's nearly as big of a deal for you.
I definitely get that, and that's where it's obviously an advantage for me, to be a pay to play player for that because I do not ever sit here and really calculate the to me minor details of this gold or this
Yeah,
gem or whatever.
yeah, for
Like I
sure.
try not to waste gems. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't care if you're a millionaire. I think it would be dumb to waste gems in the game.
Yeah.
I try to be as efficient as I can,
Hmm.
where it's not pain in the butt for me, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to go out of my way to do 10 things to save 5 gems when
Yeah, totally.
I can get 5 gems a lot quicker.
You
That
know, it's
makes sense.
interesting because even at watching you play and at certain times, sometimes I desire to play in a very different way where I don't have to say, okay, I have exactly 7,840 energy, which means that if I small talk this and it's successful, then I can get exactly one surcharge out of it. Like sometimes I want to say, no, all my items are 11 or 1200 energy to surcharge, and I may get the energy, I may not. This small talk might fail, it might not. But it's kind of like a more loose, fun, free way to play, where sometimes it feels like my play turns into more like
Like a
robotic,
job.
forced, like this is how you have to do it in order to be efficient, which I think is less fun in a way. I mean, to certain personality types, that might be like the most fun thing in the world, but to others, it's not. So sometimes I get frustrated that I feel like sometimes I have to play that way. But anyway, either way, it's personal preference, and everyone's going to do it differently.
Like something that I do as a late game player, which I'm gonna try to stop doing now, is like obviously these are like absurd numbers right now because we just opened all those chests.
Yeah.
Like I used to always go to these smaller quests. Like I was like so like nutty about having max resource or max components for everything. Like
Hmm.
I can hold a maximum of 645. Like if before we open the chest, if you would go in here and look at my components, all of them would be anywheres from like max 645 to like say 500. If they
Hmm.
hit below 500, I'd send quests out to get those back up to 645. I
Interesting.
always had the resources, but never really needed them. I got these top tier heroes that I'm sending out to go get, these little, whatchamacallit, the Elven Woods
Mm-hmm.
that I can buy on the market for 1,000 if they pop up or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I can be sending my heroes to get these guys that are worth 90K a piece. If my small talk backfires, I would just refuse that offer. I wouldn't sell
Hmm.
that item to them because
Yeah.
to me, anytime I sell an item, I want the small talk, like a backfire there. Like I could just leave this here and then be boom, get the next customer. But to me, that's a wasted customer. So bye. That's
Yeah.
the way I look at it. If it's a
Yeah.
backfire, I never sell the item
I've gone
basically.
back and forth several times with what I think is the best way to take care of that issue. Like with, do I refuse them or do I still sell them an item or whatever? And I think a lot of the time it depends on, for me, like going back to the efficiency thing, is like, what is the most optimal way to do this when I need a certain amount of energy? And so before, when I was selling tier 9s, but I didn't have max energy, and let's say I had like 600 or 6,500 energy, so I needed like an extra 180 maybe to just get to that point. And so any um any customer that failed, I would keep it. And when I needed that extra 150 energy, I would actually go back to that customer, suggest a tier 7 or tier 6 item and discount it and sell it. And then I would always have enough to surcharge the tier 9. And so I thought, why waste that extra customer when I could use it to get 150 energy, which allows me to surcharge another tier 9 item that I wouldn't be able to otherwise? And I think in that case, it actually added more efficiency and more speed to my shop, where I was able to sell through things quicker and make more money, because I was using every single customer that I got, regardless of whether it was a success or a failure. But at other points in the game, let's say I was at a lower amount of energy, my assumption was, if I'm discounting a tier 6 item and it's not really benefiting me a ton, I'm not getting through items faster, then it doesn't really make sense to be selling that and discounting it, because I'm losing money on that sale. So I think for me, it totally just depends on what stage of the game that you're at, what you're trying to do with that extra 100 energy, and if it's actually benefiting you or if you're just losing money on it.
Yeah, I think generally you try to be as, for the most part, as efficient as you can be. But
Yeah.
sometimes I think when you're sitting there and you got to pull out a pen and paper and crack down on numbers to make sure this is efficient, this is efficient.
Yeah.
Think of the 10, 20, 30 minutes you wasted doing that when you could have been selling items in your shop and
Yeah,
making money.
totally. Yeah, I get it.
So,
And I think too, when,
'cause I've been that way.
like with personal preference thing, some people would find that like invigorating. Like, this is so fun. I get to make another spreadsheet. And some people would say, this is the horrible and I'm never doing this again. You know what I mean? Where some people enjoy it, some people don't. And
Like you're
that,
referencing light with that.
no, let's not name names. But I'm just saying, like, ultimately, this is a game. It should be for enjoyment. And if you're not enjoying it, then there's an issue with that, you know? So for me, it's like, do what you find enjoyment in. And if you enjoy making every little calculation and optimization to your play that you possibly can, then do that and enjoy it. And if that drives you crazy, then don't worry about it and play more like Dana. Joking.
Look at this guy. In a lot of ways, I mean, in this shop, and this might sound like a dumb reference, but you could think of it as real life. If you're paying more for something and not getting as much back, think about that. If you paid more to go to work,
Yeah.
weren't getting enough back, like, is it really worth doing whatever you're doing?
Yeah, for sure.
So you definitely always want to, whatever you're doing, you want to find a way to make some sort of profit.
Mm-hmm.
If it's costing you too much money to, discount, or costing you too much to buy the components, or whatever the situation is in your shop, then you might want to rethink of what you're doing.
I think there is a lot of similarities there with it. But then if you're going to work and you hate it, then you're probably not going to want to keep working for very long, you know? So it's definitely that balance. But totally, there's so many similarities with it.
Well, I mean, it's the same reference, though. I mean, if somebody hated this or didn't like this, then obviously they'd play a different game.
Yeah, true.
I guess it really is like exactly like life in that sense.
Yeah, it's true. All right, man. Well, I think that'll be it for us for today for this Your Shop episode anyway. But thanks so much for your time and for hanging out and even for streaming with me. It was so much fun.
Aren't you supposed to give me like a little tidbit of
I'm working on it,
I
okay?
could do?
It's happening in my brain.
And don't give me the whole energy thing here. I want something better than
you
that.
Suck. So I think just along the lines of what we've been saying, I mean, in the end, when you get to this point in the game, it really is just for enjoyment. And I mean, there's not a whole lot of other goals. And if you're enjoying making things for guildmates and helping them to get their heroes better, I mean, that's what you should be doing ultimately. I mean, I find it funny how there's like those little things that we can become like quote unquote OCD about or whatever. You know, whether it be that your level 40 max fully decked out heroes are going to the tier 1 quests. Obviously, that's not making you the most amount of money. But it's because you want the most components, you know? But if you're sending out 2 heroes at a time that are always able to complete the hardest quest, that's going to be making you ridiculous amounts more money than you would be otherwise. It's just more based on personal preference. Let's say you have 1100 energy. You're not going to be looking for the item that has the closest amount to 1100 for the surcharge like I do. And for a long time, that was what I did. Was I'd look and say, okay, I have exactly 811 energy. I'm not going to use my 773 energy to surcharge. I'm going to look and find an 809 energy to surcharge. Like, to the point that I was trying to use every single energy as efficiently as possible. Whereas at this point in your game, I don't think you need to do that by any means. And I think too, for you looking forward to future updates, whether that be tier 10 items or whatever, you're doing it in a really intelligent way where you opened all of your chests now to get, you know, the good items so that you can sell them now. You're saving your ascension shards so you're ready to ascend, you know, your tier 10s. Like, you're doing the things to prepare yourself to put yourself in the best spot possible for when new content drops. And so I would say that would be a big thing, is actually clearing out as much of your inventory as you can other than enchantments, so that when tier 10 drops, you're not losing a ton of value on all the items that you just have sitting around stocked up, because inevitably all of those items, unless they're still going to be, you know, best in slot down the road, you're going to be losing value over time on those items if they're just sitting there. That's just one thing that I would say would be priority, to prepare yourself for what's coming in game.
Yep, I totally agree with that. That's what I will be doing, prepping myself for, tier 10, or like, for instance, I'll prep myself for the tower this weekend.
Yeah, I think actually your best bet is to save all those items and sell them like on the day that tower launches, because that's when the prices are going to be highest. Because generally when people are like trying to deck out heroes, or they're panicking because they can't get through the last couple bosses of tower, then they're going to be willing to pay more for items. So you saving those higher tier items right now until Tower this weekend, and then maybe trying to power through your inventory. That might be your best bet.
Sometimes, like if I have empty slots open on my market, it's kind of tough to not just keep trying to sell some.
Oh, totally, yeah. And I mean, when you have that many items, you just got to get through it either way. So sweet. Well, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it, and thank all you guys for watching as usual. Yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.